Welcome back, everybody. How y'all doing? Hey, me and Ryan, we're back giving you folks what you yearn. Grab your urn for cremation. It's time for the slow burn. And Falcons great by the digits, but this time we're doing 80 to 71. And if this is your first time here, hey man, you got two shows that you already don't miss that you got to go back and check out. But we welcome you anyway. Again, I'm Chris Tipmore of A1 Forever. Right next to me is Ryan of the Page LLC. Ryan, what's good? Tell me something good, man.
Hey man, you talking about some let it burn, man. We don't give a damn. You don't give a,
Hey,
gotta do it
there it
like
is.
young bloods, baby. We up in here tonight, baby. Let's get it.
There it is. There it is, man. I know StreamYard trying to stream yard me. Got me up there just froze. But it's all good. We still gonna keep it going anyway. Got somebody in the chat. Okay, Robert Blackman. Good evening, gentlemen. How you doing, fam? How you doing, fam? Yeah, man. And shout out to everybody that's tuning in from my channel. And I know right now can't really do a lot of sharing. Hey man, it's all good though. We still going to get it out there in the algorithm regardless. So man, well regardless though, how you feeling though? How you doing? How you feeling though, Ryan? How you feeling,
I'm
man?
gonna
Tell me
be
something.
honest with you. I'm feeling lovely. I missed home. I miss home, so I had to get a little something with Interstate 285. 85, just to make me
Lovely.
feel comfortable until the season gets here. Because let's be real, we in the 80s now,
Right.
and I'm sorry, the high 80s, and getting ready to transition into the good
The
numbers, as
70s.
we would
Yeah.
say.
Oh yeah, man. Hold on 1 second. Let's see here if I can do this. Try to
And why
pop
you
out and pop back in. Let me see if it's gonna work for me. I don't know, man. Just got
go
me.
right ahead?
Got me
Go
looking
right ahead.
crazy.
I'm sitting right here. I got you covered, my guy.
Yeah. Okay. I
So,
think I'm moving. I think I'm moving again. You think I'm
okay.
moving? All right. So we're starting with, of course, with number 80, man. Number 80. And man, of course, it's a few guys that you can think about with number 80, but honestly, it's got to be one numero uno, Ryan. And for that guy, he's got to be Mr. Andre Rison, Mr. Bad Moon Rising. I mean, am I lying or am I telling the truth, man? I'm talking about this guy, one of the most dominant receivers in franchise history, led the league with 15 touchdowns in 93. Of course, so had that the crazy nickname, of course, with the Bad Moon Rising. And he went with it with the
Mhm.
flashiness, the clutchness, with explosiveness. Definitely a key factor in the early 90s for the Falcons. Oh, and still the fastest wide receiver to 50 touchdowns for the Falcons, man. What you
Mm.
got on Andre Rison?
When you look at Mr. Andre Rison, unfortunately, my man gets caught up in. I think that bar at the bottom is what's slowing us down. I ain't gonna even sit
Okay,
there and lie.
all right, let me check it out. Let me check
Yeah,
it.
I think that's because I'm starting to glitch a little bit. There we go.
All
So
right.
I'll be honest with you, man. I think when you think of Andre Rison, us football fans think of him as a guy that did not live up to all of the potential that he could have been one of the greatest to do it. Because during the
Mhm.
time he was in Atlanta, he was in the top category. Once he left Atlanta, he became more of a mercenary at that point, moving around from place to place. But in
True.
Atlanta, this man was just like Prime and Dominique Wilkins. He could do no wrong. Everybody loved Andre Rison when he came here, and he brought a dynamic to this offense that was just unheard of. When you had him on one side and you had Michael Haynes on the other, come on, man. The run and shoot offense, aka the red gun offense, was
Mhm.
literally shot by this dude here.
Yeah, yeah, you ain't lying, man. Also, what 4-time Pro Bowler as
Yes,
well,
sir.
1-time All Pro,
Super
56
Bowl champ.
touchdowns, Super Bowl champ, man. Over 5,500 receiving yards with the Falcons, 423 receptions. Bad Moon Rising, man, was just like you wish you could just like make a compilation of guys that should have been together. And he's definitely on that team. Could you imagine Bad Moon and possibly Terrence Mathis on the same team? My goodness. It just,
Very,
just the
very
talent.
dangerous combination.
That's what I'm saying, man. Just the talent, man. You really just hate it. But of course, it's not just Andre Rison. It's not just Andre Rison, man. I'm pretty sure you have another one as well. And
Oh,
I
I
will.
do.
Oh yeah, man. I'm pretty sure you do. I have one as well, but I'm gonna let you go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead and slide, man. What you got?
So when we actually had a real tight end playing in Atlanta,
Ah,
that was a that was a first round draft pick. We had
Yeah.
Mr. Junior Miller that wore number 80. One of the best tight ends, big blocking tight ends, but also had good speed, good hands. That was a unicorn, ladies and gentlemen. Go back and look at his numbers. He
Mhm.
definitely was a top player that we had in this organization. And ever since Kyle Pitts, you sit back and you look at it, it's just kind of like, wow, this dude came in here and he really opened things up. When you look
Right.
at Steve Barkowski at the time, had a love affair with Mr. Jim Mitchell because that was his
That's
main
his
weapon.
guy.
When you add a Junior Miller to come in here to take some of the slack off of um, this offense, when you talk about Alfred Jenkins, Wallace Francis, and these guys,
Right.
he was what Kyle Pitts is supposed to be in this offense right now. A
Mm.
mainstay. When you look at it, his career with Atlanta, he had 100. I'm sorry, his NFL career
Mm.
had 122 receptions, 1,049. I'm sorry, 1,409 yards and 14
Right.
touchdowns. He was primarily a blocking tight end, but when he had the ball in
Mhm.
his hands, he was very dangerous. And if you look at the 1980 season, the
Mhm.
highest total that he had was 584 yards, and he averaged 12 yards a catch. Now Pitts had 1,000 yards in his first season. Pretty
Right.
much
Of course.
let's be real, his rookie year eclipsed these numbers. But when you talk about impact, this guy would have thrived in our offenses. And we got to remember, we played a running style offense when he was here with Lynn Kane, William
Right.
Andrews, and James Mayberry. So
Right.
shout out to Mr. Junior Miller, our other first
Also
round tight end.
somebody who was a Pro Bowler in his rookie season, and he
Facts.
was considered elite before his injuries. Honestly, the
Yep.
injuries were what cut his career short. And straight strong red zone target. I'm saying, he had great size. And one thing about it that's underrated about him is he had great hands too. So, again, this is just a guy, like, you never know what he could have been if he just would have been able
Mhm.
to stay healthy, man. You just hate it, but injuries are a part of the game. I have somebody for you as well. Now, not as far back, but still effective. And I'm talking about Mr. Tony Martin.
Ooh.
1998 to 2001, 137 receptions, over 2,000 yards, 2,032 to be exact, 13 touchdowns. Now, this is a veteran deep threat, and you got to remember, he was on our 1998 team as well. Helped out Jamal Anderson, helped out Chris Chandler, as far as like stretching the field. Reliable
Mhm.
option behind Terrence Mathis. Helped the young wide receivers as well, in that transition period post Super Bowl. So it wasn't just one year. He was doing things for the locker room as well. Made the Pro Bowl in his rookie year as well. And honestly, he was like, you want to talk about another guy that was considered a Tony Gonzalez type, but injuries cut him short. We're talking about Tony Martin, man. So it's two guys, Junior Miller and Tony Martin, that both were considered that type before we even knew who Tony Gonzalez really was.
And here's another guy that we have that he's got to be an honorable mention. Levine Tololo.
Yes, I agree.
He's an
Very
honorable
much.
mention for us because he definitely was a reliable target for Matt Ryan in his latter days. And look, this guy came in and he was a part of a rotational piece and he fit what we were doing in this offense.
He did.
So going back to looking at some of these players that have come through wearing number 80, it definitely is respected. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you think about Tololo. What I still remember, like one of his best plays. It's in that 53-yard touchdown versus Carolina. That
Mm-hmm.
was definitely good. I mean, and then you think about it. Yeah, he was blocking, but he didn't have to do much. We had weapons, and like he was like the guy that you would forget about. Tololo made a lot of like big catches, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, Tololo." You know what I'm saying? Like, but other guys would forget about him, and even with the Falcons, he still, average. Well, it was pretty much a touchdown every 100 yards, just about,
Mm-hmm.
and 74 yards. I mean, 74 receptions, and again, durable, unselfish player who just did his job, key blocking tight end. One of the reasons why we get to that Super Bowl in 2016. Definitely got to talk about him. Um, unless, well, I do have another honorable mention though,
Who you
and
got?
of course, The only reason why he's brought up is just because, honestly, these are just some old timers. Mr. Carl Farmer and Bob Long.
Yep.
And you know what I'm saying, those guys right there got to be honorable mentions. I know rarely discussed, but Carl Farmer, he was pretty much in that transition as far as like wide receivers going into that wide receiver. A little bit more about throwing the ball around. And Bob Long, I mean, shoot, he was becoming a household name back then because you know, and of course, Falcons inaugural seasons and everything like that. He's a part of that. But even before Tommy Nobis became the name that he became, you know, you had guys like Bob Long. So just gotta respect the past, man, and that's something that we definitely do. I'm pretty sure Ryan is going to be back in a second, and I will just hold off just to see if he has anybody else for 70, for 80. Oh, there's my guy. Yeah,
StreamYard,
man.
StreamYard, my
Oh
guy.
yeah, it's hitting me too. And then on top of that, by me, I know it's about to start storming too. So take that into consideration too. But again, you know, we're gonna keep on trucking. If you don't
Yes.
have anybody else for number 80, we can definitely move on to 79.
I'll let you have 7-9 because that's a very short list.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah,
look, you don't look. It's about to start raining and storming. You don't have to worry about it, brother. Look, we got a short list.
all right, right. So number
For some of
79,
these,
number 79, definitely got to go with a man who you can definitely say he's the old guard. And I'm talking about Bill Fralick, man, like 1985 to 1992, 131 games he started, 4 Pro Bowls, 2-time first team All Pro, 2-time second team. Honestly, you can arguably say one of the greatest offensive linemen in Falcons history, known for his dominance in the run game, physicality, consistency. Played in an era when the Falcons really often, and you know, it's often rebuilding, but you know, I'm saying, of course, we still had that elite talent too.
mhm,
Also, I want to say too, you know, saying he was a finalist in the College Football Hall of Fame and widely respected across that league.
as he
You can,
should be.
and I want to say this too. When you just think about his impact, you can make a Hall of Fame argument for him as well too, man. So
Hmm.
definitely want to bring him in and definitely got to give him his respect. Salute, sir.
Bill Frelick definitely was one of those guys that you can sit back and you look at, and he was a very dangerous man on the football field.
Hmm.
God rest his soul. And
Yeah.
when you sit back and you think about it, just be honest. Guess who he blocked for to get to the NFL? Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Marino at Pitt. So when you look at it, think about it. That Pitt
Correct.
line was nasty.
Right.
Between you think about it, you had Freilich, Mark Mayday, that everybody knows from college football, but he also played for the Skins and won a Super Bowl or two. And then you look at Russ Grimm, who also played for the Skins, Hall of Famer and great offensive line coach. You had 3 monsters on that line, and he brings that mentality and that attitude down to Atlanta during the time he was here. So
Facts.
when you talk about nastiness and just being at the right place at the right time, he was that guy. But that's pretty much what I got for you for 79, my guy.
Yep. Yep. And yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Yep. Yes, he is. I mean, but of course, he should be in the big one, and that's the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
For real. Now, number 2, who I have for this list now, he played on the other side of the ball. And you know what I'm saying? He definitely was a Falcon for quite some time. Defensive end or defensive tackle, to be exact. And that's I want to get his last name right, so I'm gonna say Jeff Yeats. I believe that's how the pronunciation of his name. Regardless, I know definitely I know he had 30 plus sacks, but of course unofficially. So he probably had more than that because what sacks didn't become official until like 1982 or
Yep.
something. So you got to think about this. He probably had more than that, but versatile defensive lineman for 9 seasons for us. And the key thing about it is he was a part of the grits blitz. He knew all about it. He had some grits, man, for real. And
He
again, he
was
wasn't a star, but
nope.
you know,
He
he
was a
was sturdy.
rotational piece.
Yes, he was reliable though. He was a reliable person. And his longevity and consistency is honestly what kept him as a Falcon as well and good on the defense. So definitely wanted to mention him as well.
I'm with you on that, man. When you look at what we had on that defense, And Jared, the way that defense was called, Jared Glanville called waves and waves and waves of pass rushers. That's pretty much how that went. So when you sit back and you really think about how this defense was orchestrated, it was beautiful. And for a guy to have that type of stability in the league, and you're talking about an NFL where D lineman didn't last that long, because you got to remember, chop blocking was still really done at that time. It wasn't illegal, so guys' knees were getting cut, legs were broken, and I mean, this is just the way the game was played at that time. Everybody calls it dirty, but it was fair back in the day. But for him to play on one of the best defenses and be a rotational piece and to stay in a position to play for 9 seasons, it says a lot about his longevity in the pit.
Indeed, definitely, man. It's crazy, brother. I wanna. It's crazy that I want to bring him up. He's an honorable mention only because he still works for the city of Atlanta, still is in the city of Atlanta, and he didn't play long at all. He didn't. You know what I'm saying? But you got to think about this too. He did play with Michael Turner, did play with Matt Ryan. And I feel like if he didn't have that dislocated ankle in 2013, you never know what he could have been. And I'm talking about 92-90 games on Mike Johnson, offensive guard and tackle. And again, like I said, just injuries, since shortened his career again. It's a part of the game. But I just wanted to give him a quick shout out, and thank you for his time for the Falcons. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for him. But that was just my last honorable mention for that, because we're moving on to the great 78. And I already know you got somebody in mind, and I'm pretty sure we got the same guy in mind. So I'm just gonna let you go ahead and take the floor, man.
I only got one for this one, and you want to sit back and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was Mike Ken, all great Mike Ken. And when you look at the type of guy that he was a first round pick. He was the 13th overall pick, but he was drafted in the first round of the 1978 draft. He played all 17 seasons here in Atlanta. So he went through the highs, he went through the lows, and got highs again, going to the playoffs the few times. So he was here pretty much for all of Atlanta's first playoff runs. Absolutely. in both decades. So when you look at the stability that he had, and also he's a gourmet chef too, by the way.
Yes,
most folks don't know that. Little tidbit. They had that team that he played on had a lot of different personalities. Like, we had Dewey McClain, who was on our show, who's a Georgia State representative. You had a guy by the name of Tom Pridemore that was in the House of Delegates. He was a chef. And then you had Steve Barkowski, who was born again Christian and a slight evangelist or whatnot. So when you look at it, that 1980 team consisted of a ton of different personalities.
Right.
A ton of different personalities. And you got a guy that's an offensive lineman that works in the pit, does the dirty work. But I like my lineman. I'm okay with him being a chef, because that means he knew what to eat, what not to eat, and staying in shape. What do you have on Mr. Mike Ken, sir?
Man, listen, I'm old enough to remember that I did enough research to know that this man allowed only 1 sack in 1980 and 1991. Do you know how difficult it is to only allow 1 sack? But anyway, man, more beyond that, you got to think about it. Like you said before, I believe that all NFL 1980s decade team, this guy, he was known to play clean. He was technically sound. He was rarely penalized. I think he's long overdue for the Hall of Fame. This is a guy who should be there. I know he played on tons of terrible teams, but during those terrible teams, this man was the consistency. He back, protecting Steve Barkowski, Chris Miller. Of course, he's in the Falcons Ring of Honor, as he should be. But Mike Ken, if I'm not mistaken, has played 251 games. And that's still one of the most by the Falcon. I know Jake Matthews is getting there too, but Mike Ken is just come on now. You know what I'm saying?
Hold up. He didn't just play 251 games. If you're gonna say it right, because you got to give him his due. He started 251 games.
Yeah, there you go. He started 251 games.
And
Not
especially
played,
at a position where he was
started.
getting beat on.
Bro, a very dominant position. And my thing is, he never missed a game due to injury in over 11 seasons. Protected 5 different quarterbacks in a 17-year span. That right there is just amazing, man. Absolutely amazing. And yes, Mike Ken is short. It's short at 79 and especially at 78 because Mike Ken is Mr. 78. You know,
you got to compare. If you're gonna compare Mike Ken to anybody in this franchise, I'm just gonna be honest, and I got to throw it up there.
Okay,
Mike Ken has to be mentioned in the same breath as Jeff Van Note. Has to be mentioned in the same breath as Claude Humphrey, and as well as Tommy Nobis.
I like
because when you talk about guys that played majority of their careers here, and also can't leave Jesse Tuggle out.
Of course.
Because we're talking about guys that played in Atlanta for longer than 5 years. I'm not going to throw no shade today because I know how people are a little sensitive when you say certain players didn't play here that long. Well, that's the greatest player in this franchise. The hell is not.
So many guys that's done more in this franchise.
Thank you.
And that's another reason why, this list is so important because we got to remind people that, hey, there are Falcon greats. You know what I'm saying? Digit by digit, you can find at least one that made a difference. And, what I'm saying? As we're saying that, we're going to move on to 77. Another list that may be relatively short, but I can say one guy that I think about when I think about number 77, Mr. Tyson Clabo, right tackle, 101 games, all starts, and he made the Pro Bowl in 2010. And the thing about it is, and this is a testament to the undrafted free agent guys that we have right now, because Tyson Clabo went undrafted, and he was a gem for the Atlanta Falcons, of course, with their offensive line in the Matt Ryan, Michael Turner era. Tough, reliable pass blocker, physical in the run game. Played key role in us making the playoffs in 4 different years too. Like I said, made the Pro Bowl in 2010, but at the end of the day, unfortunately, we had to move on from him because I believe it was cap issues, and we had to move on from him. But Tyson, when he was with the Falcons, he definitely, was somebody that you can depend on game day on Sundays. So definitely got to mention Tyson Clabo.
Well, I got to go ahead and give an honorable mention to Rasheed Hageman and Storm Norton right now that's currently wearing a number. So that's pretty much all I got. Nothing too heavy. Just moving on because this, like I said, we short on this part of the side of these numbers. We're a little short.
we are, man. I mean, and then just about Rasheed Hageman. I mean, he had 4 sacks, 44 games. I mean, 2nd round pick, but he had his flashes, man. I feel like if he just could have kept his head on straight, things would have been better for him. But hey, it is what it is. We appreciate him for when he was around and the things that he did do. So appreciate Rasheed Hageman for real. Now there is one last guy that I will say as an honorable mention as well, Mr. Rick Bryant, and Rick Bryant was the first overall pick back in 1984, ninth overall, and he helped anchor the Falcons' defensive line. He played through some injuries, respected for his toughness and his leadership, but unfortunately, he retired, due to a chronic neck issues and passed away in 2009. Again, I just want to bring up his name because he did have a nice tenure with the Atlanta Falcons. Had 29 and a half sacks, of course, the total may be a little bit higher, but they're going with 29 and a half from what I can look up. And I just wanted to mention his name. Of course, again, that's what this list is about, bringing up, some old Falcons and bringing them to the light, to new audiences, man. So yeah, but that's about it for old Shem to Shem. That's about it, man. As we're moving on to Get Your Sticks at 76. Yes, sir.
Well, if I'm gonna go 76, I got to go ahead and mention a gentleman by the name of Mr. Mike Gann. Mike Gann played in Atlanta from 1985 all the way to 1993.
Yeah.
And coming out of Notre Dame, you know that they're going to produce good linemen. He was a second round pick.
Mhm.
He was a second. He was in this. He was drafted in the second round. He was the 45th pick. Excuse me.
Right.
He had 23 and a half sacks in his career, 11 fumble recoveries, and 2 touchdowns. He was taken right behind Bill Fralick, if you guys didn't
Mhm.
know, in the 85 draft. So, as a
Okay.
rookie, he actually scored a touchdown as a lateral from Rick Bryant to win a game over the New Orleans Bagheads. Just a little history.
Lovely.
Defensive end, by the way.
Right.
What
Yeah,
you
man, that's
got?
great. Oh, me? Okay. I thought y'all was to make sure you was done.
Oh,
Me.
I ain't.
Let's see. 76 is tough. I got a couple honorable mentions, but
Okay.
but a guy that I have to mention that is really like holding 76 down is somebody that's currently on our team, Mr. Caleb McGarry, 2019 to currently, and right now, Caleb
I'm gonna be
McGarry, of
nice.
course. Yeah, hey, I know, but he's
I'm gonna
known
be
for the
nice.
run
I
block.
ain't gonna say nothing. You
But
got it. Go
we know
ahead.
what Caleb is known for. He has elite run blocking. That's something we cannot take away from Caleb.
Yeah.
Struggles in pass protection, of course, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying, he's still, what I'm saying, the right tackle of this team. Him and Chris Lindstrom, they're, what I'm saying, they're brothers in arms, and we love to run to that right side for a reason because those guys always make a way. But
Mm,
another guy, what I'm saying, he wasn't here long, but Kevin Schaefer. It's a 7th round pick turned into a starter for Michael Vick in,
mhm.
it's in that early offense. Protected Vick's blind side in that 2004 NFC Championship season. He left here in 2006 due to free agency, but a quiet guy, led by example type thing, of course, key part because, you had a run heavy offense, with Vick, and you had to protect him. So you had to have athletic type linemen, and he was one of those guys, that was able to do those things. And the last guy I have is Quinn Ojen. Hold on, Quinn Ojenaka, I think is Ojenaka. Yeah, Quinn Ojenaka, and he was a guard tackle for the Atlanta Falcons. You guys may know him better in TNA as Moose, and of course,
Mhm.
he played for the Atlanta Falcons, 5th round pick in 2006. Of course, versatile backup, but later, of course, he didn't make his way with the Atlanta Falcons, and we traded him to New England in 2010. His career did not go the way he wanted it to go, and of course, he moved and transitioned to pro wrestling as other football players have done before as well. And but just wanted to do those honorable mentions for number 76. Yes,
Wow,
Moose, TNA former world heavyweight champion, used to play for the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, he did.
man, you threw a good one. You threw a good one out there. That's cool to think about.
Oh yeah, man. Hey man, former world heavyweight champion, man. That's all I'm saying. 75. 75. We
We
live.
got a lot on this one.
Yeah, you actually do. 75, man. I'm gonna actually start this one with Mr. Jeff Merrill. 1975 to 1983, defensive end. 103 games, reliable starter. Another guy that you can think about when you think about Grits Blitz. Hey, he was a part of it. First ever playoff appearance in 1978. He was a part of it.
Hmm.
Known for his toughness, consistency, and leadership as well. And of course, one of our top defenders in the 70s. Just got to mention him, bring up that history, and a key part of that 1997 defense, which set that NFL record for the fewest points allowed.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Definitely a good list, but see, I gotta throw something on you.
What
I
you got?
can't leave out my guy because
Come on.
he did a show for me, and I'm gonna make sure that he looks at this. Shout out to former 1st round pick, Mr. Lincoln Kennedy, who is Birdcage alumni, who played on this offensive line for the Atlanta Falcons for
Yeah.
a couple of years before he went on to the Oakland Raiders and went to AFC championships and Super Bowls.
Right.
He definitely was going to be a very good guard and tackle on this team, but the offensive skill set did not fit with, I'm sorry, his offensive skill set did not fit the scheme that we were running at the time. And unfortunately, things didn't work out, but he definitely was one of the best in the game because he goes to the Raiders and flourishes. So, hey, that's the story of the Falcons. We let go of good players and they flourish elsewhere. Brett Favre was his teammate at one. I'm sorry, Brett Favre is another one, but we ain't gonna get into that. I'm still a little salty about that one. But
Right.
I got another one for you. I'm gonna throw out here,
Okay, what you got?
Mr. Tony Casillas.
I
Mr.
like it.
Tony Casillas.
He's on my list. Yes, sir. Tell us about him.
Tony Casillas comes out of Oklahoma, starts off as an offensive lineman originally before he goes to the defensive side of the ball. We have him for a couple of years, then he goes to Dallas and wins a couple of Super Bowls and goes back to the O-line. So it's just one of these things.
Here you go with your point again. Here you go with your point.
What's that?
Oh, we let players go and they go off and win Super Bowls and all this other stuff.
Hey, but Tony Casillas was a monster in the trenches. He played both sides. So when you look at it, it's just one of those things where you just say, damn, why we couldn't have him here? Why we couldn't build off of him? Who do you have next? Because, see, I'm starting to get depressed, and you getting ready to make me call my therapist.
Don't get depressed, man. Let me see if I can, lighten that mood a little bit with a little George Cons. You know what I'm saying? Left tackle. You know, I said 6-time Pro Bowler, all with Atlanta. One-time All-Pro as well. Drafted 2nd overall in that 1969 NFL draft. Wasn't even thought of. I'm telling you.
Boy, neither one of us was thought of at that time.
At all. And of course, another one of our best linemen, protecting blind sides, named to the 1970s All-Decade team. It was unfortunate we had to trade him in 1975 to Baltimore, but it is what it is. But I just want to give you your just due, Mr. Cons, for your time in Atlanta. Again, your Pro Bowl seasons were all in Atlanta, so I appreciate that for the time that you did. Of course, we didn't get far with him. Of course, him being on the team, but appreciate his efforts. Thank you so much, Mr. George Cons.
Man, I got a whole bunch of people. Good Lord.
I got another one for you.
I was getting ready to throw another one out there for you.
Who you got? I mean, I can go either way. Which way you want? Which way you going?
I'm gonna go ahead and go with Mr. Shane Dronett. Definitely. You know what? I'll let you explain it. You know what? Because I didn't know if you had him on your list, but you know what? I dropped the name. I'm gonna let you drop the facts on this one. Go ahead, bro.
Hey, man. I mean, Shane Drummond. I mean, he didn't play for us too long. I get it. Some people may say that. Defensive end, defensive tackle, but he did have 16 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. Important cog in that 1998 Super Bowl team. Again, thank you, Mr. Drummond, for that. Emotional leader. You know what I'm saying? Fan favorite, led by example, versatile guy, and honestly, like he literally gave his life for the Atlanta Falcons because, of course, in 2009, he tragically passed away, dealing with, brain trauma due to CTE type symptoms. I know his wife still to this day, carries on his legacy. So shout out to Miss Chris. And, shout out to your husband who, like I said, literally gave his life for football. So definitely had to talk about Shane. Salute to Shane, and hope you're resting in peace.
And it's wow. It's a painful thing when you talk about people when they lose their lives and when you give your life. If you're a former athlete, former player, you understand the severity of your sports, but we didn't have the technology or the study at that time to diagnose the CTE, pretty much what consistent violent collisions do to the brain and how does it affect you later in life and what happens, because that right there, maybe if we had a little bit more of the knowledge at the time, it would have prevented that. But now I understand it. But at the end of the day, it's just like this, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not trying to be insensitive, but you know the risk when you go out there. For all my former players out here, I'm one of them. I had 2 knee injuries, ACL reconstructions. I was blessed. That's all I got. Because you got some guys that break their necks. You got some guys that have died on the football field. You
Yeah.
have kids that die in practice. It's not a sport for the weak. You have to be built differently to do this. That's why when you speak on some of these players, if you didn't play this game at the collegiate level, or if you didn't get past high school, collegiate level, semi-pro, if you don't understand the type of sacrifices that are put in to play this game, you really won't get it. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox because I know we got to move on, but it's just near and dear to me when you talk about guys that pass on because of the effects of the game that they love. So this is a part of it.
Facts, brother. And that's what I'm saying. And that's why he had to be on this list. There was no way that I would be able to pass the number 75 and not bring Shane Drummond up. And again, sir, since salute to you, and really hate that we did not have the technology to possibly have a chance to, maybe have him still around today. You never know, because he was only 38 years of age back in 2009 when he tragically committed suicide. So yes, we're going to move on from Mr. Drummond and actually move on to Mr. Rod Coleman. You know what I'm saying? 28
Big
sacks
Coleman.
just for a season. Defensive tackle, man. We loved Rod Coleman, man. He was so determined to get to the quarterback. It's 11 and a half sacks, in 2004, and that led all defensive tackles in the NFL that year. Massive contributor. Remember, he was a part of that 2004 NFC Championship run. Another guy that injuries shortened his tenure, shortened his career. But I'm telling you, this guy was elite when he was healthy, and one of the best interior pass rushers still in Falcons history to this day. And only 57 games played with us. So Rod Coleman, difference maker. That's a guy that you wish you could have had for at least 10 to 12 years coming at the quarterback, because I believe, boy, that interior line.
And I remember when we got him from the Raiders, we were just speaking on Lincoln Kennedy, who actually wore that number 76 or whatnot. They were teammates for a short period of time in Oakland. And he talked about him. He said Rod Coleman was one of the toughest guys he had to block day in and day out in practice. And when Atlanta got him, we pretty much started to go on that run where we were able to start creating pressure. Rod Coleman, John Abraham. I mean, it just got to a point where you look like, damn, we had a front.
We had some folks.
We had a front. So when you think about it now, it's sad that we didn't get that much out of him as we could have, but he produced.
He did. He did his job in them 4 seasons. He did his job. So I gotta mention him, Mr. Rod Coleman. Thank you.
I got an honorable mention. Offensive lineman.
Okay, what you got?
Offensive lineman who was traded for John Elway. He got traded to the Colts. He was drafted in 1983, because you remember when John Elway was drafted by the Baltimore Colts, he said, I won't play. I'll play for the Yankees. I won't play football.
Yeah.
This man is he goes by the name of Mr. Chris Hinton.
Yes, sir. Yep.
He got traded from Denver to the Colts and to the Falcons.
Absolutely.
And he played for us for a couple of years and definitely was a solid piece, but we had him at the end of his career. So just wanted to throw that in there as an honorable mention or whatnot when we spoke on.
Still made the Pro Bowl too in 1991, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah,
actually he did.
Still was a difference maker. It got him at the end of his career, but he did come here and another guy that in a short time produced. So that's a good honorable mention.
As I say it all the time, and I'm gonna continue to say it. The Atlanta Falcons organization, until proven otherwise, is the retirement home for NFL football players.
Oh, that hurts. That's tough, Ryan. That's tough right there. So tough, we're gonna move on to 74. Well, who you got for 74, man? I know you got somebody nice, man.
Listen, and now you move to 74 or whatnot. So we're going to go with Mr. Mike Pitts, defensive lineman.
Okay.
Alabama. Comes out of the University of Alabama. It hurts my heart to say that.
Right. No.
It's a disgusting feeling. But I'm not going to sit there and trash Bama players too much, even though they did kind of they've hurt us a lot. You know what I'm saying? The receiver position, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
6'5", 277 pounds, and he was one of the last players to play for Bear Bryant during the time he was there. He was a consensus All-American, a 1979 champ. We drafted him. He played 3 years for us and was definitely a difference maker. And unfortunately, again, we traded him away. He goes to Philadelphia and has a great couple of years in Philly from 87 to 92.
Ain't it always the way? Now that's a good one right there. I like that one. I like that one. Okay. I got one for you.
Who you got?
I'm going to go a little more recent. I'm gonna go with Mr. Todd Weiner, offensive tackle. You know, since starting right tackle during the Michael Vick era. Also anchored our offensive line as well in that 2004 NFC Championship run. Durable player, technically sound again. You know what I'm saying? Smart plays, underrated guy. So I definitely had to bring him up because again, for years he was running around. Of course, you had to have those athletic linemen. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you know Vic did a lot of bobbing and weaving out there. So Todd Weiner, thank you so much again for your services. Had to mention you for number 74.
I'm with you on Todd Weiner. That was definitely a great pick when you talk about it. And man, you also have to look at another guy, Ephraim Salam, very solid offensive lineman that we've had. And he definitely was a guy that he played here for a while, played in Jacksonville. But when we had him here, he was very solid with the team that we had. And he also helped us get to a Super Bowl.
Right. It's another piece. That was another piece on that Super Bowl line. Solid protection for Chandler and Jamal Anderson. And at that time, he was young, athletic, and everything like that too. And his stability on that left side. So yeah, that's another good one, boy. That's a good one.
So you left the door open when you decided to go down the other road with mentioning Mr. Weiner. I said, okay, since he didn't want to mention Ephraim Salam, I said I'll go ahead and take
hey,
that.
Man, I figured, you had him, somewhere back in there anyway, man. But okay. I got another honor. I got an honorable mention here as well. Back in the 70s, and unfortunately his life was cut short due to heart failure, unfortunately. Back, but he was another guy, Wilson. I'm gonna try to get this last name right now. It's Wilson Famuna, and 1977 to 1981 defensive tackle. Now he was a first round pick as well, 20th overall, and he played a part in the Grits Blitz. Showed those flashes, but those health issues, cut his career short and his life short because he had a promising. He was a promising defensive tackle that the Falcons was excited about, but that heart failure, man, and that goes back to what Ryan was saying before this game. Regardless, basketball, football, but especially football. I believe football is one of the most demanding sports there is. So it's just put so much on your body. And again, he died due to heart failure. And unfortunately, like we was unable to see if he would really tap into that true potential that the Falcons thought that they saw. And again, just had to mention him as well. Thank you for your services, sir. And rest in peace. Seriously.
And he was one of the first Polynesian players we took back in the day.
Facts.
So if you want to see who he is, there's an infamous clip, and YouTube has it. Check out the 1980 Atlanta Falcons or whatnot. I get excited every time I see it. Yes, I'm old school. I don't care. I grew up watching NFL films as a child. That's the reason I have a knowledge on it. I'm giving away too many secrets. But there's an infamous play where we actually beat the Los Angeles Rams at the end of the game, and Bart drops back and throws the pass. He's on the sideline. He said, "There it is, there it is, there it is." That's him. God rest his soul. So they had plenty of footage of him talking trash on the sideline.
Yes, man.
During that season. So he definitely was a guy that could have anchored us going into the 80s or whatnot and transitioning. So rest in peace, sir.
Definitely, man. No, man. Now I do have one more. Now I hate to mention it because we acquired him from them stanking ain'ts. But
Oh God.
it is what it is. Mr. Mike Tillman, you know what I'm saying? We brought him in
Don't
to help
spend
out.
too much time on him.
Yeah, defensive line, mid-70s. I ain't gonna lie, he did have size, strength, and toughness for them in them trenches. And that's why, so we brought him over to help us out. So definitely wanted to give him that honorable mention before we moved on to number 73. And when you mention 73, please talk to me, Ryan. I'm pretty sure you got somebody, Ryan.
I got two, but I can go either way. Cause
Okay,
see,
which
I
way
see
you
you.
want to go?
I see what you know, but I see what you itching towards. So I'm a. You know what? See, I'm not a glory hog. I want you to have this, but I'm gonna go ahead and mention mine real quick.
Do it. Do you
I'm
think?
gonna go old school, Mr.
Uh-oh.
Jamie Dukes. Everybody
Yes,
knows
sir.
him as Deion Sanders' best
I,
friend, prime time with Deion at
I
Florida
tried to lead him to
State.
the water, y'all. I tried to lead him to the water. He went and he
He was
still
trying.
didn't
Look,
drink.
see, I wasn't
He
falling for
still
that. See, I
didn't
wasn't
drink.
born. Listen, I wasn't born yesterday. I wasn't born the day before. I was born for this moment right now. That's what I'm
That's
trying
what
to
I'm
tell you,
talking
bro.
about.
So when we talk about it, Jamie Dukes is Deion Sanders' right-hand man. That
Yes.
was his guy at Florida State. That was his guy in Atlanta. Jamie
Yeah.
Dukes played the center position for us and also played the guard position as well. Solid
Right.
player on the offensive line, durable. Played for us for a couple of years and ended his career off into the sunset. See,
Mm.
I'm letting you talk about one of my favorite players that's coming up. You see, I know which way you want it to go. I just said, you know what? It's your show. So guess what? I'm gonna let you have this one. So who else do you have at 73?
Man, 73. I mean, how can I not go with Ryan Schrader? You know,
Wow.
right
You went
tackle.
with Schrader. Ooh,
Right,
you went
right
elsewhere.
tackle. Yeah, man. I knew because, and again, for the guys who are on this team, who are trying to make this team, who are not drafted, we have yet another success story with Ryan Schrader. You know what I'm saying? Became a full-time starter in 2014. Helped anchor our offense. Help us get to that NFC championship game and that Super Bowl run.
Yes.
Athleticism, he had it. Strong pass pro. He had that too. And he was a
Yes.
key role protecting Matt Ryan, blocking for Devontae Freeman. You know what I'm saying? We gave him an extension, you know what I'm saying, for his consistent play. And honestly, he deserved it. Ryan Schrader went out there. That was another guy that took his hard hat with other guys on that offensive line and went out there and went out there and got it, man. And so I just wanted to mention him because, of course, he was a part of that Super Bowl run as well. So the more recent one. So I definitely had to mention Ryan Schrader.
You know what? I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready to bust your bubble because you
Go ahead.
decided to go away from it. You went away from one of the nastiest offensive linemen we ever had. That's
Mhm.
my guy. That's
Go
which way I
ahead.
thought you
Go
were
ahead.
going.
Talk about the real
Mr.
hard hat.
Harvey Dahl.
Yes,
That
sir.
dude there, he fight. Listen, Harvey Dahl would fight King Kong in an alley with a toothpick and a peppermint under his toe. That's pretty much the type of dude he was. He balanced on the peppermint on one toe, and he stabbed King Kong with a toothpick. No fear, was dirty, and we all know he was dirty.
Oh
He took
yeah.
cheap shots, but guess what? I'm okay with that. I
I'm
want an
fine.
offensive lineman that's gonna put the fear in defensive linemen and linebackers that are going to come after my quarterback. We need a little bit of that nastiness on this offensive line that's coming up to protect Michael Penix Jr.'s blind side. I'm going to be nice. I told you I'm going to be nice. So I'm going to hold my tongue and,
All right. All right.
just talk
Hey,
about it. Harvey Dahl not only was a good blocker and a technician player,
right.
Harvey had a mean streak. That is something that protected Matt Ryan in the early years of his career here in Atlanta.
True.
And he was able to thrive. Guys, if you took a shot at Matt Ryan, understand this. 73 was coming to find you one way
Right.
or another. Even if it was later in the game, he was cutting you at the knees. If you're getting up from a pile, he might mush your face down. He might hit you in the throat with an elbow or a forearm.
Mm.
But at the end of the
You asked
day,
for it.
you have to have guys that can do the dirty work like a Harvey Dahl. So shout out to Mr. Harvey Dahl. I was angry at the franchise when they traded you, and I think our offensive line has been soft since him.
Yeah, man. Harvey Dahl,
Since he left.
Hard Hat Dahl, man. I ain't gonna lie. One of my favorite offensive linemen as well. This is really my last honorary mention for number
Okay.
73. And I'm
What you
gonna
got?
take it back. Talk about Mr. Phil McKinley.
Mm.
1976 to 1980. Why do
Yep.
I mention this man? Because first of all, he was a tackle. This
Yep.
man, first of all, you know what I'm saying, was a solid contributor to our offensive line in the late 70s. Not only was he that, he was known for his intelligence, discipline on and off the field in the locker room, became a referee later on after his career was over. But you got to think
Mm-hmm.
about it. This man was a part of our first playoff appearance and also had to go against that grits blitz in practice every single day, so which made him better. So, I just had to mention him for honorary mention. He was a part of some history. Of course, like I said, playoff run, that legendary defense having to block against those guys. Short time here, but still was a part of some Falcon history for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
with you.
Yeah,
We
man. Had to go
we
back
got
in
to slide the 7 deuce now. That
Yeah,
7 deuce.
yeah. You know what's going on. You know what's going on.
Man.
72 and 10. 72 and 10.
so
72, man. Who you got?
so I'm gonna go ahead and see. I'm not gonna steal your thunder. I told you, see, I'm pretty much gonna be like Trey Young, and I'm just gonna dish it to you, my boy. But I'm
Okay.
gonna go first on this one, so I'm not gonna take your thunder with the next one. But
Let me see what you
shout
got.
out to Mr. Oliver Barnett, defensive tackle, wore 72 in the 90s. One of the most solid guys that played on the line. We had one of his teammates to join us or whatnot on the birdcage.
Mm,
And yeah, one of his college teammates that joined us on the birdcage or whatnot. And when you sit back and you look at it, it's just one of these things where all you can do is just say, wow. He set the squat record at Kentucky. He squatted over 700 pounds as
woo. Look at
Oliver
him.
Barton. When I say a big time defensive tackle, and you sit back and you look at it, it's nasty. And they
Right.
drafted him just to pretty much be able to eat up blockers so that Falcons linebacking core and Andre Bruce and those guys could get loose. That was his job. And he was strong as a mule.
Mm,
So all I can
right.
say is it's just amazing right now when you sit back and you just think about the talent that guy had that we only had for a short time.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That is crazy. That is absolutely insane. But man, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to go ahead and go into my pastry shop. Have to
I
go ahead and
had
put
to,
on my
but I had to do that for you though one good time, bro.
no, and I always appreciate it. Always, because I'm in the bakery right now. Because when I think about 72, I think about 2008 to 2013. And I think about somebody who was here holding it down before Jake Matthews, before we even knew who Jake Matthews was. And I'm talking about Sam Baker, left
Mm,
tackle. 70 games played, 61 starts. Former first round pick, 21 overall in 2008. It's out of USC. Brought him in to do what? Protect Matty Ice's blind side. And he definitely did that in career year in 2012, helping the Falcons, and get the NFC Championship game. He didn't give up really. I think he only gave up maybe 3 sacks that year, if I have that number correct. But
yep.
another guy who gave his basically he's still alive. Okay, just want to say, but he gave his football career really for the Atlanta Falcons because after a while, Sam just could not do it anymore. Injuries, his back, his knees. Just he was just beat up, man. But he did give us, what he could give us. He signed that 6-year extension, but it could only play 4 games. His body just was done. So, of course, and then remember, he ended up tearing his patella tendon too. So in preseason, so for those who remember that, so it just injuries after injuries, but another guy who was solid when he was healthy. So Sam Baker, hey, appreciate you for sure.
And the gentleman I was mentioning earlier, that was Oliver Barnett's teammate, is a University of Kentucky legend himself as a quarterback. baseball player, and also one of the long time announcers, Mr. Freddie Maggard. So shout out to Mr. Maggard. You know, not only was he a great athlete, he also was a member of the U.S. Army. So shout out to my fellow brother at arms as well. So again, when you talk about talent, they had talent up there in Kentucky. He tore his shoulder, and that kind of changed the trajectory. But he said Oliver Barnett was nothing but the truth at Kentucky. Strong as a bull and feared.
Hey, man,
so we've had some good people.
I love that one right there, man. Well, I think we're getting close to that 71, man. It's pretty tough fear, man. It's
7-1, man. Look, this went about really fast today, and this is just one of those things where you just sit back and say, "Dang, it's over already." No,
yeah, man. But hey, that's at the end of the day, man. That's what slow burns do. Eventually, they got to end, right? But number 71. Now, for me, I feel like we may be thinking about the same guy, and just in case we are, I'm going to pivot a different direction. Now, for 71, I was gonna go old school. I'm talking about like I was gonna go back on you now, but
you talking about you was gonna go back. I'm already there.
I was gonna go back.
I'm already there.
Hey, man. All right. Go ahead and drop it then. What you got?
So my old school player is gonna be John Zook.
Yes, sir. Darn
out
right.
Of University of Kansas. He was in the 4th round, 99th pick. Played from Atlanta from 1969 to 1975. And he was a second-team All-Pro. Say again?
No, I said all starts too. 96 games, yes. All starts.
He was a second-team All-Pro in 1973, and he was also a Pro Bowler in 1973. Yeah. So originally he was drafted by the Los Angeles Rams in the 1969 NFL AFL draft. He was traded to Philly and then traded to the Atlanta Falcons. That is how he got to Atlanta. So he wasn't an original pick for the Falcons. He literally was traded from place to place and then showed up in Atlanta.
And then you got to think about it
for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Right. 45 plus career sacks unofficially, of course. So it could be more.
I think it might be 50 if you want to be honest with me.
Right.
I think they might have fudged. I think they might have gypped him out of about 4 or 5 sacks.
And you got to think about this is a young, well, of course he's not young anymore, but that young man played with Claude Humphrey back then as well, giving us one of the best, some defensive end duos in the 1970s. Definitely running mates and definitely got to be mentioned, man, for sure. Like I said, one of the greatest.
He did.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It just, boy, that's some good stuff right there, though, Ryan. Got to go back.
God rest his soul. He passed away in 2020 in Kansas, his home state.
Oh man,
Who do you have next?
Oh man, I'm going a little bit more sooner, more recent, a little bit. A guy who just was used all over the field. Honestly, it was crazy. We don't seen him do drop back in coverage. He actually was Matthew Judon on the Falcons before Matthew Judon, but at least he could do it at least decently. Talking about Mr. Croy Bierman, 2008, 2015, defensive end, outside linebacker, played in 114 games for the Falcons and got 23.5 sacks. He was known for that versatility. Like I said, he could play defensive end, he could play linebacker. It didn't matter if it was 3-4, 4-3. Croy was pretty versatile for us, and I have to give him a shout out on that. Scored 2 defensive touchdowns in his career. He was known for his hard work. It wasn't necessarily the flash or anything like that. Was Croy a world beater? No. Croy was a hard worker who was a rotational player for us, who would get occasional starts because of his reliability. His best season came when he had 75 tackles and 4.5 sacks. Of course, he's known off in his reality TV show, I believe now is something like that he's doing. But yeah, Croy Bierman, I definitely have to. I did enjoy Croy Bierman on this team, so I definitely have to give him his shout out for 71.
That's what's up. And
salute.
What's going on more to live for?
Yeah, man.
I got to
That's
throw this out here because this is going to be, I think this might be the last one because that list for 71 wasn't too long unless you have something else.
I mean, it wasn't too long. You know, you may have an
I
honorable
got,
mention here or
I
there,
got
but
an honorable mention here. See, this is
okay.
the best part. See, as a child growing up, I was a wrestling fan.
Okay.
So
Okay.
outside of being a wrestling fan, I was a Georgia Bulldog fan. So
Yes,
I got
sir.
two for the price of one. Shout out to Mr. Bill Goldberg, honorable mention. One of the best defensive tackles to ever come out of University of Georgia. Had a solid NFL career where he was able to stay on the team and survive. He was just physical and he did his thing. But he also was, as people love to say, oh, we love Prime. We love Prime. Prime is our guy. Guess what?
That was his brother.
That was Prime's bodyguard.
That was his
And the
bro,
reason you know that they're like brothers is because instead of Bill Goldberg sending his son to his alma mater at University of Georgia, where he could have gone and actually played and was offered,
right.
his son is at the University of Colorado playing defensive line currently for Coach Prime. So
Absolutely.
that tells you how deep of a connection and a relationship that this man had from protecting him. Think about it.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
protected Prime. He protected Prime. He kept him healthy. And here's the other thing. If you tried to fight Prime in the locker room, that was who you had to deal with. And he was also, and I'm going to give you this. While he was playing football, he also took up martial arts growing up as a kid. But he started, before he was a wrestler, he actually started in the MMA world when it wasn't popular. He was training, and he also was doing that to stay in shape while he was in the NFL as well. So again, shout out to Mr. Bill Goldberg, honorable mention, damn good dog. And he protected, as everybody would say, the best player in Atlanta Falcons history, or one of the best players in Atlanta Falcons history. Yeah, I said one of the best. Y'all can kick rocks if you don't like it. I told you, I don't mind being the bad guy.
Hey, man. Hey, you gonna when that Dion thing, you know, so you gonna have moving in. But anyway,
Hey, well, look,
my last.
I ain't scared. Hey, I'm. You know what? Hold up. So you're forcing me to bring out the bad guy. I've been trying to keep it in, but I'm like Razor Ramon. I'm just gonna kill it, Chico.
Golly, I'm about to say.
See, this is what happens when you want to sit there and say that. I'm not scared. I go ahead and say it like my man Bernie Mac. I ain't scared of you, mother.
No.
Like, man, we got to have some kind of fun with it, man.
Oh, for sure. And
but I know I'm gonna catch hell from some of these Falcon fans. You just don't like me. I grew up watching Dion. I grew up watching the Falcons, and again, he was a trendsetter, yes. But greatest Falcon? Hell no. Too many players that stayed here long enough. They just don't get the credit because of the fact that they weren't in the limelight. And we named a couple of them today.
We did. We definitely did, man. Y'all, I'm telling you, if you guys are just tuning in, go back to the beginning of this show. We got some great names, some great stories, some tragic stories as well. And unfortunately, I got to end it with the same way like that as well. My honorable mention is a guy who only played here from 2000 to 2003, but he was an offensive guard, Mr. Travis Claridge. And second round pick in 2037 overall, started all 60 games he played with Atlanta, known for his strength, grittiness on the interior line. Unfortunately, injuries yet again playing a part, cutting his career short, and then later on, he would pass away tragically at the age of 27 in 2006. So, RIP to you, sir. And again, thank you for all 60 of the games that you started in Atlanta for us. So when we was in that transition period, of course, just getting Vic, all that stuff like that. So yes, Mr. Travis Claridge, that's my last honorable mention for this show.
That was a great honorable mention. And when you look at it and you look at the sacrifices, as I said before, people don't understand. It's not just playing football at this level. When you get to this level, it's not just a business. You're sacrificing to get a lot because NFL stands for not for long. If you have a career longer than 5 years, you've lasted. And because it's so hard, because there's so much competition coming in, there's so much money being passed, and you don't know what some of these guys go through physically to get to this level and to stay at this level, to remain getting these paychecks. Because again, some of these guys leave school early. Some of these guys don't have degrees. Some of these guys blow through their money. It's so many things and so many pressures that guys go through. And you don't understand and know the desperateness. I'm sorry. Let me correct my English. That was very incorrect. I apologize. You don't understand the desperate acts of a desperate man to maintain his status into where he is because of how hard he fought to get there. And guys are willing to risk their health sometimes. I'm not speaking on him in a negative way or anyone else who has passed on, from Mr. Tony Casillas and many others that we mentioned today. When you really look at these guys, you have to think about it. During that time that some of these guys that we're talking about played this game, the effects that they experience later in their lives, they didn't care about because they were thinking about getting their next paycheck. So just understand this. When guys play at this level, there's a sacrifice that comes with it. And if you have young children who play this game, understand this. Do not try to live through your kids, because if you don't know what it's like to have to take an ice bath after a hard practice, you don't know what it's like to have headaches, consistent headaches after practice or after games, or you could be laying down, you walk around with permanent injuries. Don't speak on it. It's easy for people to say what you can and can't do, but if you've never put on a helmet and shoulder pads, you can't speak on it.
You can't do it. You can't do it,
I've
man.
done it. I didn't get to the NFL level, but I've done it high school, semi-pro, and offered from colleges. So again, I understand the work and the sacrifice it takes, and that's why I said I'm critical, but I won't ever get overcritical, because at the end of the day, you have to be great to get to the NFL. And a lot of these guys were great at their levels, and when you get to that next level, you separate the men from the boys. So everybody, even the scrubs, are great players at that collegiate level, and they were all Americans, or they were all some type of honorable mention at one point in their career. So appreciate you having me on, A1 today, helping you host this thing, dog.
Oh man, it's always fun, man. These are fun, man. When we do these, again, we're just bringing say everybody together, the old school, the new school. It's some players that people don't know about. What I'm saying? So that's why we're here to talk about them. And again, what I'm saying, I came up with this idea. I said, didn't think of nobody else, but Ryan, the historian, to bring this to light with me. So as always, what I'm saying, just like my headline says, salute to the greats. And like for me, what I'm saying, I just appreciate, what I'm saying, being able to do this. We're going to continue this slow burn as it goes on throughout the off season until we get to number one. And then, of course, what I'm saying, again, appreciate everybody who tuned in. And Ryan, please, by all means, let them know exactly where they can find you.
Hey, you know how we do it. As we say in the cage, you either get right or you get left. And the way that you can get right with us is by tuning in on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. live. We have shows every Thursday during the season. We have shows, pregame shows, the pregame meal, and then have a halftime report. And then after the game, we have the party line or the benediction. So we want to see more party lines this year, and we definitely want to have everyone coming in, tapping in. A1 always comes in and shows love. So I want to make sure I continue to return the favor, because at the end of the day, us content creators take time out of our personal lives to do this. So we need you to hit that like and subscribe button, because it's free 99. It's free. You can't get it. You can't get no writer. It's free.
It's free.
Tune into us, man. So A1, thank you again for having me, my brother.
Yes, sir, man. No problem at all. Rise up content creators, man. That's what we're doing. And again, for myself, A1 Forever Sports, that is the platform on YouTube. Please always come over and have a football, baseball, NBA conversation. Always, representing the Atlanta teams, but like to dibble and dabble in other teams as well. As far as when it comes to news and content. So come on over to A1 Forever Sports. Also, catch me on the Hawks Digest. Been dropping some videos over there. A lot of things swirling around the Atlanta Hawks, who they're going to draft, who they're going to trade for, et cetera, et cetera. So, come on over to the Hawks Digest. You can find Chris Tipmore over there and Walter Pollard. And also find me on Twitter, A1 Forever. Instagram, same, A1 Forever. And then TikTok, the real A1 Forever. And hey, man, again, let's talk sports, man. Appreciate you again, Ryan. Hey, man, until next time for the next episode of The Slow Burn, we are out.
A1. Yeah, truly. Cooler and I'm flyer too. Jam. Cooler and I'm